Off the coast of Mozambique, warm water surrounds idyllic islands. In this shallow realm, sunlight fuels abundant growth. Rich sea currents carry food and inundate underwater meadows. Life in many forms crowds the space between seabed and surface. From beauty that belies danger to the downright peculiar. This is a world of color and contrast. The Bazaruto Shallows. Off Africa's east coast, a small fish searches for a home along a coral reef. He's a model Toby, and in order to find a mate, he needs to claim a territory. This turf is already taken. Luckily for the Toby, he lives in a shallow water paradise, where reef space is abundant. His home is on the eastern border of the Bazaruto archipelago. This series of 5 islands lies 15 kilometers off the east coast of Mozambique. The islands are the centerpieces of a marine protected area and national park that covers some 1,400 square kilometers. The islands were formed during rising sea levels between 5,000 and 7,000 years ago. Today, sun-soaked shallows surround them on all sides. To the east lie underwater walls of fossilized sand, remnants of an ancient coastline. These rocky barriers enclose coral gardens, living metropolises feeding on sunlight. To the island's west, extensive sand flats form perfect habitats for broad beds of seagrass. Where the shallows meet the shore, mangrove forests form a bridge between two worlds, the wet and the dry. As the rising tide floods this shallow realm, it feeds and shapes this diverse array of living spaces. Life here harnesses the natural elements of this dynamic environment, reflecting the sun's light in displays of brilliant color and feeding off the nutrient-rich water in the flowing current. With a variety of strategies and adaptations, the many creatures fill every niche in the light-bathed shallows of Bazaruto. To the east of the Bazaruto archipelago lie coral reefs growing as deep as 20 meters below the surface. Even at these depths, the clear water allows sunlight to reach the coral. These are the outer limits of the coral's range, as a little further east the seabed drops off into the depths of the Indian Ocean. Large fish move slowly along the low, widespread reefs, feeding as they go. A white-barred rubberlip eats mainly small invertebrates it sifts from sand between the coral. An ember parrotfish scrapes algae from the reef with its beak-like mouth. These sizable fish live mostly without companions of their own species. And they aren't the only lonely characters in the depths. A honeycomb moray spends its life alone in its cave. Its hidden body is up to 2 meters of pure muscle. Concealed in the rocks, it launches ambushes on unsuspecting prey. But not all down here live alone in the shadows. A raised section of reef is the site of colorful commotion. Among the largest here are penciled surgeonfish, gathering to graze on algae. Alongside, sea goldies congregate in shoals to feed on zooplankton in the water. This larger male lives and mates with his harem of more brightly colored females. When he dies, the dominant female will take his place. Incredibly, in just 2 weeks, her ovaries will transform into testes, and her color will change to the male coloration. But when it comes to changing color, one fish outdoes all the rest. An emperor angelfish feeds on algae and invertebrates from the rocks. His striking stripes make him among the most beautiful of all fish. But believe it or not, he's become less flashy with age. A juvenile emperor swims surreptitiously through the coral. Its colors will begin to change when it reaches around 14 centimeters. What it loses in colorful contrast, it'll gain in confidence. The adult has no problem being seen. This patch of reef is his, and should other adult emperors trespass, they risk an aggressive attack. With markings that signal it poses no threat, the juvenile can swim here without fearing the adult. All this color can only be appreciated thanks to the sunlight reaching the reef. Almost all corals rely on their relationship with photosynthesizing algae to grow. At 20 meters down, corals employ two very different strategies for absorbing as much light as possible. Some, like these plate corals, grow outwards in massive discs, maximizing their surface area. This whip coral has a far more direct approach. Instead of spreading itself out and waiting for the light to come to it, it grows towards the light in single cords that can reach more than 3 meters long. This green tree coral is misleading in its appearance. Despite its layer of dark green fleshy tissue, it lacks any photosynthesizing algae. It gets its green color from its own pigments. This coral thrives in deep water, especially in areas with strong currents. And there's no shortage of those here. The Mozambique current flows rapidly south along Bazaruto's eastern edge. On the brink of the deep ocean, this reef is also exposed to the full force of sea swells. Though tropical storms can break even the most robust coral plates, remarkably, they can weld themselves back onto the reef over time. In the shallower water not far away, a sandstone wall rises all the way to the surface. This wall marks the point where the island's shore lay, some thousands of years ago when sea levels were lower. Known as beach rock, the sandstone was gradually cemented when freshwater percolating through the sand deposited minerals where it met the sea. The wall now forms a divide between two very different shallow worlds. One barren and turbulent, exposed to the deep ocean. The other calm and packed with life, protected by the divide. In the sandstone reefs on the more turbulent side of the wall, the water may seem calm, but looks can be deceiving. Little coral lives here. The Mozambique current surges at up to 2 meters per second down this coast, carrying large amounts of sand with it. The regular disturbance and inundation with sand means little coral can grow, and reef fish are few and far between. But there is life here nonetheless. Little nooks and crannies define this world. A predatory trumpetfish has evolved a streamlined body to penetrate the crevices as it hunts. While some are long and slender, others are short and stout. The box fishes. These are some of the few vertebrates to grow a complete carapace of bone. There's more to this rigid suit of armor than meets the eye. Its special shape reduces drag as the boxfish swims through the water. It also plays a crucial role in increasing the boxfish's maneuverability. The flow of water around the hard carapace constantly destabilizes the boxfish, pushing it in different directions. It maintains a course by steadily working its pectoral fins. But when it needs to turn, it lets the flow of water take over, turning it on the spot. In this way, boxfish have evolved especially for a life navigating the tight spaces. At the base of the turbulent realm's barren rocks lie deep deposits of sand carried by the strong currents. These provide cover for inhabitants that couldn't be more different from the boxfish. Stingrays have broad, flat bodies, evolved for gliding effortlessly through the water. They find their food in the sand and have a sting for protection, so they have no need for quick maneuvers through tight spaces. They may not be reef residents, but these visitors will readily take advantage of the services on offer. Blue streak cleaner wrasse are known as the doctors of the reef. They make their living by feeding on parasites from the skin of other, larger creatures. The stingray enjoys a good clean in the comfort of the sand. The cleaner wrasse are some of the few permanent residents of the sandstone reef. But visitors come from far and wide looking for an easy meal. On the protected inland side of the wall, a very different world exists. As waves come crashing in, they break against the wall and their energy dissipates. The resulting calm zone is an epicenter of life that offers shelter and food to a plethora of species. At just 3 meters below the surface, the reef is bathed in sun. Staghorn coral dominates here. These fast-growing, dense labyrinths form perfect cover for small fish. In the bright light of the shallows, these reefs are even more colorful than their deeper counterparts. Within the large schools of surgeonfish, one species is drab, another dazzling blue. These herbivores play an important role in controlling algae on the reef. Alongside them, thread-fin butterfly fish add yellows and whites to the dreamy scene. Perhaps the most eye-catching here are the psychedelic gold bar wrasses. Only sexually mature males sport the gold streaks that give them their names. It's not just fish and coral that live here. Among the most impressive creatures on the reef are these magnificent anemones. Growing to 80 centimeters in diameter, these are the world's second largest species of anemone. Not to be outdone by the fish, they can close to reveal bright colors of their own. Their long tentacles have stinging cells that pack a powerful punch. But there are some fish that are immune to the stings. Nose-stripe anemone fish have a layer of protective mucus covering their bodies. Their small families include a dominant female, her male mate, and a handful of juveniles. When the female dies, the male will change sex to take her place. The biggest juvenile will then develop into the mature male. In this remarkable way, there are always fish to fill each reproductive role in each anemone. Between the long stinging tentacles, the anemone fish find safety from the reef's predators. But some of the most vulnerable creatures here have evolved chemical defenses of their own. They don't come more seemingly vulnerable than nudibranchs. These shellless sea slugs extract noxious chemicals from their diet of sea sponges. They then store these chemicals in their organs, giving them a disgusting taste to discourage predators. Their bright colors are a warning to stay away. In the shallows, beauty and danger often go hand in hand. Delicate underwater roses decorate the reef. They're coiled ribbons of nudibranch eggs, and they carry a toxic deterrent just like their parents. Nearby, the model Toby is still searching for a territory on the reef. Like the nudibranchs, he has what's known as aposematic coloring. His vivid black and yellow body warns predators of deadly toxins in his skin. It's the natural world's equivalent of a biohazard sign, and it means he can wander the reef at ease. Eventually, he finds some caves that'll serve well as a home base. Here, he has cover from a gentle current reaching the reef. Not far away, the water flows a whole lot quicker. There are places where the ocean's force breaches the wall, pushing water through large gaps and flooding the shallows with nutrients. Where the flow is strongest, it has formed a giant basin, known as the fishbowl. No reefs grow here, leaving a huge hollow some 14 meters deep that's mainly covered in sand. But at its center, a different environment thrives. A field of daisy coral, hundreds of meters wide, sways in the current. It feeds on plankton that it catches in its tentacle-like polyps. It may look like soft coral, but this is actually the only hard coral that extends its polyps permanently during the day, giving it its other name, diurnal coral. It's not just those growing on the bottom that feed on the current. A school of devil rays glides through the water. They get their name from the horn-like fins projecting in front of their mouths. But far from instruments of evil, these fins help the rays guide plankton into their mouths. The rich, rapidly flowing water above the fishbowl provides enough food for a multitude of animals. As the rays pass through, they soar above a far more sedentary set of fishbowl inhabitants. Spotted garden eels live their lives in burrows that they dig in the sand. Once nestled inside, they secrete mucus from their skin to cement the burrow walls. From this safe haven, they emerge to pluck plankton from the passing current. Above them, a much larger visitor is also cashing in. It's a whale shark, the biggest of all fish. Like the coral, rays, and eels, it's here to feed on plankton in the rich water inundating the fishbowl. The whale shark is just visiting the shallows to eat its fill before returning to the deep ocean. For many, the fishbowl is a more permanent source of food. Pufferfish swim slowly through the water. They forage on algae and invertebrates from beneath the coral. Their grumpy scowls give them the appearance of the least friendly fish in the shallows. But this title belongs to a far bigger brute. Though finding him at all is a challenge. Lying motionless in the corals, a Malabar rock cod waits for unsuspecting fish and crustaceans. Ambush is the best tactic for such a cumbersome swimmer. This huge fish is 1.5 meters long. His military-like camouflage is perfect for the coral environment. He's a successful hunter here. There's an unwelcome rock cod in his territory. It doesn't take much for the senior fish to banish the intruder. The smaller specimen will have to look elsewhere for a suitable ambush site. At the reef wall, on the edge of the fishbowl, another ambush predator plies its trade. The long-head flathead is a true master of disguise. It can disappear in plain sight and makes the Malabar rock cod look like a novice. As the bully of the seabed approaches, the flathead keeps faith in its own disguise. To the very end. But one bite is enough for it to get the message. It's not welcome here either. In the light-bathed shallows, visual deception is an important means of survival. Camouflage isn't its only form. A pair of model tobies swims calmly above the diurnal coral. With their aposematic coloration, they need not fear attack from the likes of the rock cod. Not far away, another fish looks just like the tobies. But he's a fraud. He's a black saddle mimic, a non-poisonous species that's evolved to look just like the tobies for its safety. While some mimic for defense, others do so with more sinister intentions. And what better fish to imitate than everybody's favorite cleaner? Mimic blennies look exactly like the blue streak cleaner wrasse. This allows them to swim right up to bigger fish, which are in for a nasty surprise. The blennies have a pair of huge canines in their lower jaws that they use to bite chunks of flesh from their unsuspecting victims. As the tide rises, water flows through deep channels and across the broad sand flats on the western side of the archipelago's islands. Here, the water sweeps over beds of seagrass that cover some 88 square kilometers. Remarkably, these completely submerged plants evolved from terrestrial ancestors and reproduce via water-pollinated flowers. Their pollen sticks together in long rope-like masses that can be carried by the current from one plant to another. The seagrasses are crucial to the nearby reefs. Their roots stabilize the sand, preventing it from being swept up in the current. This keeps the water clear so sunlight can get through, powering life on the reef. These eerie beds are home to a remarkable diversity of life of their own. Some are familiar, like rays, and young fish sheltering in the grass. Among the recognizable live other, more curious life forms. As the current flows through the seagrass, a pipefish drifts along with it. His slender build offers fantastic camouflage amongst the stalks. This male carries a clutch of eggs embedded in the skin on his belly. His mate deposited them, and he will carry them until they're ready to hatch. As the current continues to flow, it carries food into traps laid by other strange and beautiful creatures. A sea pen is a type of coral that spreads a sail to filter the water for plankton. Feather-duster tube worms have a similar strategy. A red-knob starfish adds a splash of color to the environment. It moves in super slow motion across the sand in search of sponges to eat. Possibly the weirdest of all are the sea cucumbers. Some look like giant caterpillars. Others bear more resemblance to the vegetables they're named after. Despite their name, these are in fact animals, relatives of starfish and sea urchins. They're the recyclers of this underwater realm. They feed on waste from the seabed and plankton from the water. They then break their food down into smaller particles, recycling them into the system much like earthworms do on land. When attacked, some will eject a long sticky mass of toxic threads to entangle the predator. Others have a less messy way of dealing with threats. They employ help. This diagonal bar goby lives in an underground burrow. But he didn't dig it himself. He is a lodger in the home of a male and female pistol shrimp. These shrimp are famous for their ability to stun prey with a powerful burst of sound from their snapping pincers. But they're completely blind, which makes them vulnerable. That's where the goby comes in. He keeps watch as the shrimps come out to do burrow maintenance. With their long antennae, the shrimps keep constant contact with the goby. And when he gives the signal, everyone disappears in a flash. In return for keeping watch, the shrimp share their safe tunnel with the goby. As the tide rises, the water continues to inundate the sandy beds. Eventually, it reaches the shallowest environment of all. Like the seagrass, these mangrove trees are adapted to survive in salt water. When the tide retreats, the roots are exposed. But when it rises, they create an underwater forest. The roots offer crucial cover to young reef fish, contributing to the health of the reef ecosystem, just as the seagrass beds do. Bunches of oysters cling to the branches. During low tide, they seal their shells tight to avoid dehydrating. But now, they can filter food from the water once again. A hermit crab climbs across the branches, looking for something to eat. As he grows, he'll need to find a larger shell. Luckily, the sandy bed is littered with potential new homes. As the tide comes in, schools of fish take to the shallows. Above the surface, many water birds eagerly anticipate the opportunity to go fishing. But the fish have many places to hide. They congregate in huge numbers among the pillars beneath a man-made jetty. Beneath them, flamboyant characters gather. A lionfish's flag-like spines may be beautiful, but they inject poison that inflicts terrible pain on any attackers. Brightly colored boxfish can also pack a powerful punch. Even the smallest baby can feed on algae without fear of attack. Cute as it might seem, it has one of the more aggressive means of defense. Most poisonous creatures here only release toxins when an attacker makes physical contact. Boxies have the ability to actively release their toxins whenever they want. These toxins disperse quickly through the water and are incredibly potent. They burst red blood cells around the attacker's gills, effectively suffocating and killing them. This chemical defense makes a seemingly innocuous little fish one of the most deadly creatures in its tropical home. The huge numbers of moonies gathering under the pier owe their abundance to the success of Bazaruto's protection. As the tide recedes again, the flow of water will reverse, leaving the jetty and mangroves dry once more. But for most of Bazaruto's inhabitants, these rhythms pass unnoticed. Their homes will remain submerged, soaked in salt water and tropical sun. Whether they've evolved to stand out or blend in, these creatures make the most of the many niches available in this varied and wonderful underwater world.